Pet owners of Reddit, what's the most bizarre thing you've seen your pet do? My dog is fascinated by worms. He doesn't eat them or anything, but he gets totally hypnotized by their wriggling and can stare at one for literally hours. Usually after he picks up a girthy branch and there are some underneath. So he just stands there with the heavy branch in his mouth for minimum 20 minutes. There's probably something wrong with him, but it's hard to tell because his dog. My parrot yelling out thank you in my dad's voice every time he hears my front door open. Even though my late father never lived in my house. Even though the bird is in another room and doesn't see the front door open. He just knows from 25 years of having lived with my dad that when the front door opens you say thank you for the delivery. Mine makes the ringing sound of our old cordless. He then says in my voice, hello. Okay. Bye. And beeps like the phone that when you hung it up. He does this every single time one of our cell phones rings. Once he also freaked out a guest. His cage is in the guest bedroom and he sleeps in there. Friend woke up in the middle of the night to him saying the guest's name, which just so happens to also be my wife's name. They thought I was in the room. Fortunately they figured out it was the bird and that I'm not a creep. Once we also had my father-in-law take care of him while we were gone on a weekend trip. He climbed out his cage while his food and water was being changed. He then proceeded to bite my father-in-law on his ear then laugh as he went back in his cage. Same bird will also always find a way to get on my shoulder whenever we get back from a trip. Then proceed to immediately shit on my shoulder and jump off. It's his way of expressing his displeasure of us leaving. When I was a kid, we had this big area rug in our living room. One day our dog kept trying to lift the edge with his nose like he was trying to get under it. As soon as anyone walked in the room he would stop like he got caught doing something bad. So one day, I spied on him from the stairs and realized what he was trying to do. As he lifted the edge of the rug, he started rolling it up. He kept going until the rug was completely rolled up. He then proceeded to get on it and hump the living shit out of that thing like it was his last day on earth. I busted out laughing which spooked him and he darted out of the room. My dog's understanding of the two-window system at fast food drive-thrus is that the person at the first window is a malicious no-food having lying faker asshole, then the person at the second window is a genuinely nice person who has food. She hates the person at the first window. She will be her happy-go-lucky self until we pull up to the first window to pay. As soon as we pull up, she turns her head away and scowls. She refuses to even look at the jerk in the first window. When I pull away, she immediately goes back to being her happy self. Cat brought a frog in and continually tried to trap it in a Tupperware. Didn't injure and didn't want to eat it, just stuff it in a Tupperware. Cats are naturally very curious. Most of the odd stuff they do when they aren't going completely nutshit they're thinking, what if I just... My oldest boy Standard Poodle and I were out hiking, and I was taking photos, and I glanced over to make sure that he was doing alright, off-leash, good boy, and I caught him having some sort of very serious meeting with a little, juvenile, probably, raccoon. My boy was wagging his tail and chuffing, soft little yoof 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 shoof, and the raccoon was on its back legs, holding my dog's nose, and making like squeaky chitter sounds as they gazed at each other intently in the eyes. Then the raccoon just walked away, and my dog just walked back to me like it was nothing. They are clearly secret operatives, meeting through clandestine back channels to make sure that all continues to go well between their species. My dog knew how to sulk like a 3-year-old. If she felt ignored she would walk over to a corner, in the room you're in, sit and face the wall, and then mournfully look over her shoulder to make sure you're watching her sulking. One of my cats, who sadly passed in 2016 at the age of 11, When he was like 1 or 2 years old, went outside of our garden. He was gone for 4 hours and he came back without his collar. About 5 minutes after he came back he leaves again, and he's gone for another 2 hours. He comes back with his collar in his mouth, and drops it at my mum's feet. Cat did the walk of shame and realized he forgot his underwear and had to go back and get it. I used to have a dog, and I never knew reverse sneezing was a thing until one day she just started doing this horking noise. It sounded like a person trying to snort while having a cold. It's harmless, but it was a weird thing to have happen. My little Yorkie mix does this when he gets too excited or stressed. Reverse sneezing freaks me out. Like, I know it's harmless 99.99999% of the time, but it seriously sounds like the dog is dying, and there's a part of my brain that just can't comprehend it being benign. I have a dog who has fits of reverse sneezing chronically. It never lasts more than 10-20 seconds, less if I get there to massage his throat, but it's a couple times a week and it always sets off alarm bells in my brain. My dog has the weirdest tantrum. An example: he is only 30 pounds, so fits under most of the chairs or couches, which means he can get his ball if it rolls under. Sometimes not though. When this happens he will attempt it to the point of frustration, then just flip over and go full cockroach until someone helps. Lays on his back, all legs up in the air, breathing heavily. He will stay there doing it till you resolve the situation. About a month into having her, our new rescue was having issues with the food we were giving her. It was likely a mix of new food and the fact that she was nervous. She was saved from a home that had almost 40 dead animals inside, so she naturally had trust issues. Well, she pooped a few times inside and we scolded her for it. Nothing crazy, we just told her it was bad and fed her treats when she went outside. We put a few pee pads out for her and she used them really well. One day I saw her running around inside and then she disappeared, so I knew a poop was to be found. As I approached the door I saw she had pooped on a pad. She then proceeded to fold up each edge so it was a nicely wrapped package. She also dragged it to the door. My dog cleaned up her own crap. She is an awesome pup. One time my cat was sleeping, just snoozing next to me on the couch. I was watching a nature doc, in my home at reasonable volume. There was nothing else going on. Not a sound from the neighbors, no barking dog, just the ceiling fan and the audible chocolate that is David Attenborough's voice. Then my cat goes banana sandwich. This cat literally jumps like 5 feet in the air from a laying position, does a flailing front flip with all limbs extended outward, dove off of the couch and ran directly into the wall at top speed, knocking himself completely unconscious. I just sat there, mouth agape, with my hand on my chest staring at this poor bastard, wondering what the fuck in his cat brain malfunctioned to such a staggering degree. Walked over to him, nudged him a bit, considered that he might be dead, and his eyes shoot open and narrow like a horror movie. He scrambles to his feet, completely off balance, and pinball machines off the walls and furniture into the bedroom and under the bed. I finally did manage to coax him out for cuddles and pets, but holy fuck, I've never seen something so batshit in my life. If I ever go to heaven and get to meet God, one of my first questions will be, what on earth was my stupid cat having a nightmare about that caused him to go full on Looney Tunes? Parrot sticks his beak up my nose and just sits there. He's a smaller parrot, so it fits. Oh, the joy of owning a son conure. Why? Why does the parrot do this? Due to my work schedule, I have to get up at 3 a.m., which means bedtime by 8 p.m. If I am not in bed by then, my little shelter cat goes batshit. She starts off with inquisitive little meows which turn to full-on yowling, clawing at my legs, and finally, she'll get frustrated and sit on my bed glaring at me with the most stern cat expression you've ever seen. And it isn't even because she wants to go to bed. She waits until she thinks I'm sleeping and then leaves to go do cat stuff. She's pretty weird in general. Her other quirk, which leads me to think she came from a stern family, is that she will not eat anything off the floor. In my experience with other cats, when you drop something it's fair game. Not her. You have to walk over, put it in her bowl, and give her both verbal and physical permission before she'll so much as sniff at it. My cat has recently started scooping water with her paw to drink. My cat will shove her dirty poop-burying paws into any open glass of water and then nothing, that's it. She doesn't drink it or lick it or anything. Drives my wife up the wall.
Make sure to like and subscribe for more stories.